show your reactor and you said the secret is inside. So it's the mix of the gas is actually the secret, right, Mr. Kesh?
The secret is in your brain.
You're
If
funny.
Morning.
So tonight we do not have a reactor per se like you show in Poland, but we have all these people that are very interested in your beautiful knowledge. So whoever wants to start and asking question can start now, since Mr. Gish is here.
I'm kind of interested more in graphene right now. If you can give us little more background, how, what, and so on.
We've also been discussing graphene as well as other types of layering of materials, and we're very interested in graphene and possibly the use of potassium in a coating material or nano form, and possibly a nano form of copper as a coating, and also boron or boron nitride, if any of those are possible useful coatings in the reactor or layerings of materials. And if so, what are some procedures that we might be able to make layers in the reactors?
can you repeat the question again?
Leadmill's question or my question?
Both of them.
Okay. You want to start? You want to start, Leadmill, and we'll try that again?
Yeah, sure.
Ask both of them together.
Okay. Like layers.
By the time I'm working right now here, I have the conditions to work little bit on creating graphene on copper wires. I know we're gonna use it for power production. And right now I'm working on it. And I would like to have more hints or more inside story of it.
Rick, your question? Okay, go ahead. You start asking a question.
Right. So from our end, we're interested in the layering of materials on the inside of the reactor. And so there might be a series of materials, or there might be only one or two, perhaps, depending on the application and how things go and what you think and so on. But so some of those materials might be graphene or potassium, strontium, boron nitride came up for me recently. So the question would be, are some of these materials you would consider using in a reactor as a coating? And
we have tested all of them more or less. Over years, we have tested all of them.
Okay.
And it depends on what you want to do and how you treat the material. The question is that you have to understand under what condition you use what material. This is what I recently gave a talk to some scientists. The biggest point which has been missed is the condition which creates the new whatever you want it to be. It is not the material. This is one of the biggest problems which has seen up to now. and that people look for material and materials, is the condition which you create. Nowhere in the universe materials are created out of nowhere. The condition which you create leads to the creation of material or effects. This is what maybe for the first time I can explain in a little bit of detail. This is why we use layering, gas layering. You do not need a material if you know how to use the gas layering.
Are you talking about gas layering in terms of the actual physical gas, or in a GANS type, more solid
Physical
layer?
gas,
Okay.
physical gas. Because when you use uh, a gas on one side of the layer can be GANs in different strength, then is material, then is a GANs on a different state on the other side of the gas. This is one of the fundamental points of creation. Creation of condition, not material.
Now,
You
can,
let me let
excuse.
me let me let me
Okay.
explain something in a very simple way. Very soon we are releasing a medical paper, part of the health program. In that paper, which I partially spoke about it in Bulgaria, we eat the same food, but under different condition in our body. After the food transfers into energy or form of energy, becomes a bone, becomes a heart muscle, it becomes brain tissue, it becomes finger and toes. This is the condition which the body creates leads to production of the material. Otherwise, the base material absorbed from the intestines is exactly the same. So body has created different combination of the situation for itself, that when the material gets there, when the energy gets there, it transforms part of it to ligament, part of it to the muscle tissue. This happens from the point of inception. So you do not need physical reactors, body or layering to achieve this. This is one of the reasons from the beginning of the patent we put this layering to. One of the reasons we put the central column in. When you have a central column, in different layers, if you advance enough in your work, you will see you have different layers. So you pick up energy in different layers through the central column, where put it this way, let's say you have 4 or 6 different layers of gases. If you know how the gases interact, you can make it one side nanomaterial to be in what I call, let's say, strength of, for example, liquid. This few millimeters further on, the same gas is behaving like liquid. One side liquid, one side solid. And then in your central column, you can tap on either end. It just needs expertise. It just needs for you to, it's like a bicycle ride. You got to try a bicycle to see what you can get out of it. So don't look for nanomaterials. Don't look for what material gives you what. Look into non-physicality, which is at the moment available is gas to you. This is maybe for the first time you understand why we show those layers of gases. Each layer make certain interaction with the layer above and below. Then you can change very easy. It's much easier to work with the gas than a solid material. When you make a nano layer, then you're limited to what's there. You have a one-dimensional reactor. You can start with a clay. It's how you get your gases to react. It's exactly what we talked the last time. Everybody talks about ionization, but ionization is not the point. Opening the plasma is the point. Now this is the next step. Once you start using materials and getting limited to materials, then the problem starts. It becomes limitation of knowledge. You start looking into the interaction of the layers, because once you start the smallest amount of vacuum, you start layering. That's why we go to high vacuum. That's the reasons we go to highest level, because the minute you enter any amount of gas into the reactor, vacuum is zero. Vacuum condition is gone. This is how your body works. The body of a man is the best vacuum system ever known in the universe. It's just because it's ours, we got used to it and we got a few holes in it. We think it's got entry to everything. This is part of the thing which the lecture in Bulgaria and the lecture in the Foundation Center last year, I tried to open up, and apparently a lot of people are blind to it. The body of man is a vacuum system. It's the best vacuum system. And all this assumption up to now that we breathe air and it becomes oxygen, this is all rubbish. Nothing crosses the vacuum barrier except energy. If Bloodmill was in the, and Desiree were in the lecture of Bulgaria, I don't know who else was there on this forum. We gave a lecture in Keshe Foundation Center last year, and I repeated it because I understood a lot of people misunderstood or never understood what we were talking about. A lot of assumption has been made by doctors, and they're pushing it, and scientists are pushing it, which is totally mistake. It's the same principles as always say that the Earth was the center of universe, that oxygen, when we breathe, the oxygen goes in the lung, and blood gets oxygenated. No single atom, no single element ever crosses the lung into the blood. And this is a misconception which has been created, and the whole world of medicine work on it. Now with a new paper which is coming called Lung and the Blood, after 2 lectures I gave, I explained scientifically, it's the first time we put formulas down that people can understand. No oxygen ever crosses the lung barrier to the blood. This is all misconception. This is grandfather's bedtime story. Because, simple reason, those who push for this, and the scientists who have written so many papers, we can measure the oxygen level in the blood. You measure nothing. You just measure what you made the tools for to convince your own mistake. Look at it this way. You breathe in air, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, and hydrogen. Yeah? In my lectures, I explain. Hydrogen is the size of a, let's say, a peanut. Oxygen is the size of, let's say, a peach. How come the peach can cross and a peanut cannot cross the wall of the lung and the blood vessels? So no material ever crosses the boundary. It's the energy of oxygen, which is through the condition created in the lung, reduces to helium immediately, to hydrogen immediately, to transfer of energy. And when you lose a helium division by presence of nitrogen, you get carbon. And then that carbon attaches itself with 2 oxygen which are in the atomic state or molecular state, so you breathe out CO2. And they say you breathe in oxygen, you breathe out CO2. The blood gets full of CO2. This is all rubbish. Nothing crosses the barrier of the boundary of the sealed container of the body. The body of a man is a perfect vacuum system. It's a galaxy itself. It's a solar system itself. How come you have the sun and it radiates all this energy out and you still have vacuum condition between the sun and the earth? The vacuum condition is a comparison to the earth condition. Otherwise, the plasma of the sun has got its own condition which is not vacuum for the sun. The same thing has happened with the body of man. Body of man has become another vacuum system inside a vacuum system of earth, which is inside what we call the vacuum system of the solar system. It's in comparison the condition of the vacuum. And for a smaller one to exist, it has to be weaker or stronger. Then now make the body of the man, let's say the hydrogen level. Make the earth layer the what do you call it, the helium level. Make the solar system the carbon or whatever gases you like, and make universe the argon or whatever you like. Life exists, energy exists in each layer, in the body of a man, in the earth atmosphere, in the solar system, in the galaxies, and in the universe. Take away this physicality. I've given you in the pattern the reality about the creation, but people look for physicality in being existing. This is where it comes, where is the problem? This is why I try to explain in my talks, and a lot of people are missing it.
Mr. Keshe, I wanna tell you how I explain the people that I know about the gases, and I want to tell you if I'm wrong or I'm correct, please. I explain in this way, not in the same way as you, but I explain in this way. I explain that gases, mixing of that gases is like a rainbow. You know, if you want to have a green rainbow, you mix the ray of the yellow and the ray of the blue, you have a green baby rainbow. If you want to have an orange rainbow, baby rainbow, you mix the yellow with the red rainbow. Is that the same way in the gas, in your
That's
opinion?
exactly what it is. Yeah.
Okay,
You
that's how I
see,
explain it.
it is it's very much the way you explain, but when you mix the colors, you only see the colors on either side. But there is a transformation and a spectrum of colors to go between those two colors. These are the
Yes.
new colors you will see in your reactors. These are the new colors you see around your reactors. These are the colors. If you look at the book number 3, we try to show new color spectrum. The 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 division or separation line is not clear, and then you see within the structure of the gases, because there is some rapid release of principal matter or principal magnetic field spectrum, you see new colors. These are the colors above the speed of light, which they are invisible to us up to now. So when you go from matter to principal matter strength, you start seeing new color range, and this is why we show the colors in the book that way. The new book, the creation, the origin of the universe, we try to reach near enough colors that it can be seen in the universe, not the colors we see in the material state. Because you pass with such a rapid speed between the transition and matter level that you open up new dimensions.
Thank you very much. Yes, that's what I thought. That's the way it was with. And so the secret, like you said in your in the World Peace Treaty Conference, you show your reactor and you said the secret is inside. So it's the mix of the gas is actually the secret, right, Mr. Keshe?
The secret is in your brain.
You're funny. You're
Depends
funny.
what, so it depends what is secret to you and it's a knowledge to me. It's just what you are looking for. Very recently, I had a very strange experience, and a few things make me think for a few days. This situation was very interesting where a man with a lot of wealth is looking to live a few days longer. And they think, I've seen this a lot of time. People with a lot of wealth, they think they can buy a few days, few weeks, few more months to be here in one form of physicality. And I explained to him, if you knew how beautiful the other side is, you wouldn't afford to be here 1 second more. It's what you know and what you expect to achieve. And this is the expectation. So what it can taste to me honey, what if you expect it to be poison, it'll be poison to you. So you have to see what you're looking for in these reactors. That's what I say. When you run a reactor, you can make gold from it. If you want gold, you can make water out of it if you need water. It's the condition you create inside to give you what you want outside in physical terms.
Speaking of the reactor, last time we spoke, I asked you, Mr. Keshe, what is the best material for a reactor? And you smiled and you said skin. And I'm going to ask you, I'm going to tell you my theory that was from day one, and I spoke with Rick. You know, you have all these material, copper, whatever, aluminum. You can have any super thingy that you want. And I said, well, you know, we're supposed to go into a better life and a better place. Why don't we can build an organic reactor? And Rick smiled when I said that, and I said, what about clay? Clay is a very good way to do a lot of things. Is there a way that we can build organic reactor, Mr. Keshe, like a clay reactor in your, or a hemp reactor in your knowledge, Mr. Keshe?
You can, you know, a plant.
Pardon?
A plant, a tree.
Yeah, a plant, a hemp. A hemp is a plant. Clay is.
You call it olive tree. You call it the olive. These are all organic reactors. It depends what you want to get out of it and what you expect internally in it.
So it's possible to do an organic reactor, right?
Open an olive. Open an olive. And look at the structure inside. It's a self-solar system itself. It has a center point, which is the seed.
Yes.
And that seed, what it allows to radiate, decides what is outside as matter, and then the solidity of the skin. So inside a fruit, when you hold a fruit, you hold the solar system in your hand. You have a solar system. Even the new genetic version, which they take the seeds out, there is still a hidden seed inside the fruit. You cannot take that factor out. Otherwise, the food will not be created, will not be there. So always, if you want to look at your reactor, get a peach, cut it in half, and look at the structure. You have a soft seed in the middle, which is the center of the energy and memory. Then you have a harder shell of the skin of the seed or whatever you have. Then you have that soft tissue which you eat, you call the fruit. And then you have a skin. That soft tissue is the atmosphere, is the plasma section of what that seed can hold. The strength of the inside shows the size of the fruit and the expansion. That's why we have big fruits on top of the trees, because the gravitational magnetic field of the earth and the sun at that level allows a bigger expansion. In my talks, I always say it's the environment which decides the size of the plasma. If there are too many fields in the center of a galaxy, you get small solar systems because there is this jam-packed, too many of them. As you go further out to the wings of the galaxy, when there is a room that the solar system can expand, then you allow the reduction in the strength, then you allow the creation of planetary system. Finding planetary system in the center of the galaxy, it'll be very hard. The scientists who are looking for life, and if they start making a pattern of where they found systems with moons and satellites, you'll find out most of these are on the boundary of the galaxies, because the room is given for the field to reduce in the strength to reach the matter state, and then the different state of matter creates different planets. So this is a news to our cosmologists. If you're looking for planetary system, look on the outer boundary of the galaxies, not inside in the center near the what they call principal matter, principal star, because it's very much like the body of the man. The body of man, why it works with hydrogen and carbon? Because it's jam-packed. You need a small cells that they can release energy to the surface rapidly. But when you get a position on the outer boundary of the, what you call the solar system or the galaxy, you start getting materialization. You need the space for reduction to create material. And this is what I said in the World Peace Treaty when we showed the reactor. What you want from it? You want the energy, you go to the center, you want the slow matter, you go further out, you go. This is one of the secrets of creation. Creation of condition, not creation of matter. Human beings are too materialistic. Everything has to matter to exist for them. But you create the condition, any material you like in the universe is yours. You can create plutonium every minute as much as you like. You can create gold as much as you like. And you can create water, air, or whatever you like anywhere. And this is how these reactors work. When you run what we call the star motion, which is a 4-reactor combination, between one reactor, central reactor, and 120-degree reactor, depends where you point it, in that location, in that environment of the reactor, or positioning of the reactors, you can create continuously oxygen. Then, with your other 120-degree reactor, you create a condition which continuously produces, let's say, fat or protein. And with the condition with your third reactor, you can have a condition where you can continuously produce gold, because you need to build some structure somewhere. This way, this is the condition which you create between different positions. You make your central reactor the center of the galaxy, and your boundary reactors, they decide on what material you want to create. And even in that boundary, you can create 3 or 4 different things. This is one of the reasons the Iranian spaceship program is so advanced. They understood this and they're operating through it. This is one of the secrets of a space technology.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. Mrs. Keshe, when I met you, you spoke to us about one reactor, and then when I asked you about the garlic on session number 2, you explained us that you were working about a second reactor that was going to be underground and that would be better than solar and wind. And then last Monday you spoke of another reactor would be a tiny windsea thingy. Okay, so in these 3 reactors, is it the inner core is like you said, like by Rainbow's situation, is the difference? Is it the inner core all the time? Is it the inner core that changed these reactors?
It's a combination of inner and outer. It's a combination. You see, I'm trying to find a way to explain it in an easy way. You can dictate position from above, and you can dictate position from inside out. So your core does not need necessarily to be a solid core inside. Our friend from Poland has understood this fully. That's why we put his reactor immediately on the side. That's why I explained in that video, this is a perfect reactor. This is a misconception, misunderstanding by a lot of people who are trying these reactors, that They are looking for central column. Central column in so many ways is for prototyping, for testing. You do not need a central column. In a lot of designs, people think they have to have a central column to create. Let me explain something in a very fine way. Going back to the human body, when the man breaks through the barrier of the solar system, he will come to see exactly the same structure as when you cross the Earth into the space, what we call space of the solar system. In the upper layers of the atmosphere, the only reason that we get our atmosphere is the zone of the conversion. The zone of conversion is always created by, in this solar system, and because where we are in our galaxy, nitrogen. When the nitrogen works on the upper layer of the atmosphere, creation of ionization of the matter which are coming from the Earth in interaction with the high energy fields from the sun leads to what we call centralization and leads to the opening of the plasma to come to new levels. The same thing happens inside the skin of the man. That's why you have nitrogen in your amino acid. Nitrogen is playing the same game as in the layer of the upper atmosphere. Nitrogen is the divider. That's why you need nitrogen as a fertilizer. That's why high nitrogen content is used for feeding into the plants. Plants use the nitrogen in the same way as the body of the man does, as it happens in upper atmosphere. So in the Earth and the condition where our solar system is in the galaxy and where our galaxy is in the universe, in this condition, the ionization factor, the opening of the plasma factor is the nitrogen. So you create unknowingly huge amount of gamma rays and above gamma rays in your body, but we don't have the tools to measure it. Once the man achieves to make the system that he likes to detect everything, when you can measure it, you will see the body of the man is a glowing huge amount of gamma rays. In the paper which we are releasing about the interaction of the what I call blood and the lung and the blood, I've explained this in a scientific formula. This is what we know as nuclear physicists. This is the way we see as division. So when you have oxygen in the presence and creation of the division to nitrogen and oxygen 15, you release huge amount of gamma ray in your lung. But up to now, nobody has ever bothered to measure it because we don't have tools to measure such a huge gamma ray in our body. And we think radiation kills us. No, the radiation we absorb distorts our system because our system is another radiation material itself. So look for conditions, not for material. On one side, nitrogen in upper atmosphere is divider, and when it comes into a solid state which rains back on us, it becomes a source of life for food. Then we eat the food and we convert it a different way. In the book which is written, hopefully gets published this year, The Structure of the Solar Systems, I explain that rain is not what the man thinks. Rain is process of bringing down what is created on the upper atmosphere down to the ground as nitrogen, as all sorts of materials. We got used to it because it happens to us. We never look at the physicality of what we have the rain. The rain system in the body of the man is your lymph. The lymph system, this is the same. The lymph. You have lymph nodes and you have lymphs. The doctors tell us all the time that we get nourished through the blood. No food ever reaches any blood cell through the blood. Blood is a sewage system. That's why there are cells in there which carry it and imitate oxygen to oxygenate the sewage system. When you have a pure, perfect food, it doesn't rot, especially in a vacuum condition of the body. So you eat the food, the energy converts into matter through lymph and it floats through your body. When it's done its job, it dumps the waste and surplus whatever back into the blood. And the blood, what does blood do? Blood goes to liver, it deposits it, or blood goes to the kidney, it empties itself into the kidney to purify. So the blood doesn't carry any food. The blood is a wastage system. It's a sewage system of the body. This is the whole thing. We got the whole thing wrong way around, and that's why in all the pharmaceutical they fight the disease because they have not understood how to enter the body. That's why when we produce this system for health, they do amazing things. No, because we use the lymph, we use the understanding of the structure of the lymph to feed, not the body. In chemical system, they try to use the blood to get the thing through, and it doesn't actually go much. The residue shows in the blood. It's the condition which you create.
So what about the coconut water? You know, coconut water was used in World War II to replace blood transfusion, and everybody knows that the water of a young coconut is like a blood. You can when you drink that or when you put it directly in your blood, it replenish. There's a special matter in that water of this coconut because it's coming from the ground up. Is that what it is, Mr. Keshe?
Don't look at it that way. Look at it the other way around. Once this liquid goes in the stomach, how the acids convert it into energy. This is another, let me explain the other thing. I call the lung the air digestion system and the stomach and intestine the food, what you call the material digestion system. In what way? Is that we are all created, all of us, in this solar system, out of what was maybe left over of other stars before, and mainly because it's on the top layer which we are created now, we are existing from the energy which came from the sun. So the energy from the sun in gravitational and magnetic field, when it reaches the earth, in interaction with gravitational magnetic field of the condition of the nitrogen and other materials in upper atmosphere, and the angle of the entry of the fields, they become matter. They become nitrogen. We digest this nitrogen through fruit, through animals, we eat through the amino acid. They become solid state, we swallow them. What happens in our stomach? It's a reverse process of the solar system. We convert all these which became solid back into the energy the way it came from the sun, and then it transfers across our body, and then in transferring across our body, it becomes a liquid balance, lymph. When it gets to the position, the condition of the area changes down lymph to matter. So our digestion system is the reverse conversion system of our own planet. Our planet converts rays of the energy of what they call gravitational magnetism of the sun to matter. Our stomach has found a way to reverse it back to it, that it can be used to be converted again. So look what that coconut liquid brings in, that behaves like a plasma when it gets in and behaves like a blood.
Yes, that's fantastic. Yeah, I understand what you say. What about why they put it into the blood vein? Why did they put it in the blood vein?
Sorry, my ignorance. I've never heard, so I can't make a comment on that.
Okay.
I've never heard this, so I cannot make a comment. But in so many ways, When they put injections and liquid into your body or as food or whatever, they try to feed you with different drips into your what you call any of the two circulation of the body. You have to understand what this new energy does in circulation. What is released as what they call dynamic fields. You don't see. You see, this is another thing which I explained in the new paper called digestion system and intestines and lymph. If you look at again the same way as I explained with the lung, if you look at the digestion system, you eat, let's say, copper, you eat calcium, you eat anything you like. These all have different dimensions and sizes. How come none of them ever crosses the wall of the intestine? The rapid transformation from energy to matter due to the structure of the nanostructure of the lining of the stomach allows the conversion to live. So you have to look what and where this conversion happens. If you've been to any of my talks when I speak about vitamin B12, vitamin B12, first of all, you go and buy, I've told you this in my lecture so many times, is the most radioactive material man can ever swallow. Because without it, we don't exist. But if you go in the intestine, there is a point in your intestine where on one side of this line, the body absorbs B12 because part of the B12 radiation field strength is created in the digestion system itself, depending on the strength of the food you eat. That's why vegetarians are always short in B12, because the stomach changes in a way that creates a softer B12 than the B12 that we are used to, we can measure. Otherwise, they die. So they create their own B12 in a very soft way. And this in intestine, after this line, which is a few nano layers, suddenly the same intestine starts rejecting B12. How is it possible that one side in the same body of the man, on one side of the same intestine, we absorb B12, and a few microns, less than a few microns, the body rejects B12. How come? How is this possible? This is possible because within that line, the same environment as the upper atmosphere of the Earth, which separates Earth from the rest of the solar system, is created. The energy difference and the strength difference decides what gets pulled to where. Our body does the conversion without the factory, without the wall. So we have to understand what the material does and how it converts. This goes back to the odor, why the odor is important. The people who lose their sense of the smell, they lose the sense of the smell according to what their brain is set up for. But they don't lose the sense of a smell for what they receive as food. They still, without smell, know what food is good, what food is bad. Because the odor has a different strength field which is tuned into the digestion system of the man. The body immediately with the smell starts creating the condition. We call it enzymes and different acids in the stomach. Different acids and enzymes in the stomach are different solar system conversions of that matter into energy that can transfer through the wall of the intestine. So stop looking for physicality. Stop looking for center core, outer core. We had to start the talk from somewhere that people could relate to. Now it's time to go to the next step. This is part of these talks like this brings internationally. A lot of people can listen and understand. So the next step is walk away Walk away from layering, and then you will see different things. As I said in one of my talks, my biggest problem is to convert the knowledge of universe to physicality of the man that the man can understand. It's not that we don't understand, we can't show. It's changing the language for the man to understand is the biggest problem for me at the moment. It's like trying to explain as a nuclear physicist the work of a nuclear reactor to a child who doesn't even know how to write alphabet. He can't even talk. And he says nothing exists because he doesn't understand. This is the biggest problem for me in past 10 years, to convert or to change or to try to speak in the language of the man who's so physical and so materialistic. Then
Yeah.
walk. When you
Yeah.
go into a plasma, open the plasma. Plasma is the same dimension. That's if you understand how to open a plasma, then you understand in the peace conference, I said this reactor can give you anything you like.
Yes.
The reactor is, let me explain something. For the people who are working like Rick and Ludmil, the reactor is a receiver. The reactor is not a generator. This is the biggest point that you're all missing. The reactor you're building is not a generating reactor. The reactor you're building is a receiver. You are creating another condition like Earth to receive the energy from the sun. Now your power source, when I say that we give you universal energy, your power source, once you build these reactors, you understand the working of it, you will understand your power source is the sun. It's never ending for the man's life. This is a break which I've been trying to explain to people, and I explained this very recently in a couple of private talks I had, that people don't understand. The reactors you are building is not a generator, it's a receiver. And I'm trying to show you how to tune into the solar system, into galaxy's energy field, that you can receive anything you like. This is the biggest misunderstanding which has been with my technology with people. This is not a generator. You have to tune into the magnetic field, the strength of the sun. When you tune your frequency, your radio to a certain channel, you receive the message. This is the same thing. I've given you a receiver, not a generator. I explained this in a very simple way in the Trinity lecture in Nino last year, and a lot of people just went over their head because they are looking for essence to create or generate. You don't generate anything. In your reactors, you have to find out how between layers you can create a receiver of different energies. And then where is the, if you are a receiver, there must be a source. Where is the source? In our galaxy, in our solar system, is the sun at the moment. But when you go outside the solar system, where are you going to tune to? You're in a different dimension. So you become to the same stumbling block as the man going to moon in a propulsion rocket technology. So when you go outside the atmosphere of the Earth, when you go into outside the atmosphere shell of this solar system, in the galaxy, you can't tune to the sun because the stronger sun. So then you tune into the center of galaxy, which is the principal center star, what we call the black hole. This way, if you learn, there is no limitation in the science of man. When you restrict yourself to a point, it comes now we have a horse, now we have an engine, now we got the rocket propulsion, we have to find a solution for the next step. What I've written, a man in time will understand according to his own intelligence. When the man goes out of the solar system, the same thing applies. This is one of the things which I've said a lot of time. People take from my writing according to their intelligence. And this is what I try to teach a lot of scientists who are open-minded, that how there is no limit is the condition and the environment you are in and you create. So in the environment of the earth, you tune to the sun. So your reactors are not generators. If you've been thinking, and the people keep on asking me generator, blah, 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 I'm not giving you a generator. I'm giving you a receiver. This is what Tesla tried to do, and he never understood. This is one of the big people. To me, Tesla was a great guy. He did a lot of good things. But he covered his misunderstanding and his part of what he could understand into AC/DC. The biggest problem man has in the world of science are two things. The old problem, which your mindset to, is the wheel. The wheel was the biggest invention ever done for man because it made us dependent from the donkey and our two legs. He allowed us to do more. The same thing, the same dogma, the same problem which has created, through the wheel we got attached to the earth. Now Tesla has done the same thing. Tesla, by putting AC in what I call into the woodwork, he has blocked the whole technology development of the man. In so many ways, Edison was correct with DC, but man got bogged down with the transmission, and Tesla came out with the AC, and we got stuck. Look at it this way. The field of the magnet in a generator is DC. There is no pulse in the magnet. It comes out, Tesla converts it through rotation to AC. You take it down all the way, comes to your computer back to DC. But if you could understand, you do not need the AC transmission, you can directly tap into the energy of the magnet itself, then you see DC has created a lot of the physicality problem. The same as the wheel has made man to be attached to the earth. This about 4 or 5 years ago, Dirk can tell you, when we approached Toyota and Mercedes to make the first flying car, Toyota people came up with a very interesting proposition. They said, when you can make enough, people are afraid of flying, or the cars which are not attached to the earth. So when you can change the mindset, we are in to play the game with you. We are prepared to look at the technology, because nobody would like, the young generation would like to take up, but they will have a fright of their life. Even a lot of young people are afraid of flying nowadays anyway. So what do you call it? This is a mindset which we have to change. So the systems you're building, the reactors you're building, these are not generators. These are another tuning machine. Because you don't understand it, we have to put it in this form. Now tune your radio to what you like.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. I want to ask you something. Like you said, everything has its own electromagnetic signature. Is it like a DNA?
It depends what you call it. What is the DNA of gold?
No, it's like a specific wavelength of a.
Of course,
of a
but
material.
No, there's not a theory, my friend. Up to now, we have been having the habit of only measuring the magnetic field. Now, with the knowledge, we get the habit of measuring the magnetic field and gravitational field. And what that gives you is the material strength you need. This is the change of the game. This is where the whole thing comes to a different level. You always talk about the frequency or magnetic field strength. When I speak about magnetic field strength, I'm talking about magnetic and gravitational.
Yes, of course. But
Then what would you like to have? You can have, let's say you use copper and you use water. Between their magnetic gravitational field, there you can have any elements in the what do you call it, between the two. You call it hydrogen and you call it oxygen. Put them next to each other. When you put the oxygen and hydrogen next to each other, between the layer where to use a boundary, because of gravitational magnetic fields, you have carbon, you have nitrogen, you have everything else. But we choose only to stick the two which become tangible to us. So if you change gravitational magnetic field, you get this. There is another point which I raised this in the books, in the new papers, and I explained this into the paper which is called Lung and Blood. Man has become keyed up with isotopes because it can see an extra electron or it can detect a material. This is how we packaged it to different names for different materials. As much as you have an isotope in physicality, you have isotopes in magnetic gravitational field strength. If you understand the variation in the isotope of gravitational magnetic field, then you play a different game. Then you understand totally different things. In the lecture of Bulgaria and in the lecture of Nino about lung and blood, I have explained, and in the paper which is getting published soon, you will read it, that you all call it oxygen. We breathe in oxygen. But you breathe in oxygen, correct? But the oxygen you breathe is created by different structures. So as it's created by different structures, each one has different combination strength. The magnetic gravitational field strength of oxygen from a tree is very much different than the gravitational magnetic field of the oxygen which is created by a shrub. Even though they have the same electrons, the same electron positioning, you have different gravitational magnetic field strength from a herb than a tree, even though both of them release oxygen. So when you have the wind, when we breathe in, we breathe not only cocktail of nitrogen and oxygen and whatever, we breathe in a cocktail of different isotopes of magnetic gravitational field of the oxygen too. And as this goes into our lung, it releases different energies that we can absorb by the body for different purposes. Our body has adapted to the environment of the earth. Not the earth has dictated to our body how body can be impartially. So get this in your understanding that as much as we have isotopes, physical isotopes, we have magnetic gravitational isotopes too. And a lot of scientists can't understand this, but they see it, is that is why you see what we call different separation bandwidth in the same atomic structure of oxygen or let's say other elements in respect to the electron, in respect to its center. This positioning is because of the different gravitational magnetic field which that matter absorbed at the time of positioning. Now we have two things to understand. One is the isotopes in physicality, and one is the isotope of the magnetic gravitational field of the same matter. So now you don't have three isotopes. Now you have three multiplied by so many 10, 20 different magnetic gravitational fields. Now you don't have three materials to work with. Now you have, on the name of oxygen, few hundred materials to work with. Because now you have different isotopes physically multiplied by each one carrying different magnetic gravitational field strength. Then you
Okay, it's
understand
like
why the
it's a
body
bit
is
like
so mixed.
yeah, it's a bit like the mobile phones you mentioned with a unique number. So you have a land code and an aerial
Very
code
much so.
and then a
Excuse
mobile
me, excuse me,
number
everyone.
specific for that
Excuse
mobile.
me, excuse me, John. Everybody that's please mute your mic so we can have a clear understanding what Mr. Keshe is saying. Please, everybody mute your mic. Just unmute to ask your question, please. Go ahead, Jerome.
Okay, it's like I'm asking if every um, not physical atom matter has its own signature like a mobile phone. So it's like a network, a specific network that's the oxygen. And then you have a LAN code. And then you have the mobile number. Though, so you get just that oxygen, just as you mentioned, from a tree or from a fruit or something like that. Do you mean
Very
that's
so.
a
It's
unique
very
number?
so. It's a no. It's a strength level. You see, let me explain this positioning. This is in the book coming out, in the paper coming out. An apple receives less gravitational magnetic field or radiation from the Earth, more from up from the sun. A berry, or let's say a strawberry, receives, because of its position, it receives more of gravitational magnetic field from the radiation from the Earth than from the sun. So, when you consume what is closer to your body, which is the herbs, you absorb more of what is coming from your own structure.
Yeah.
That's why herbs have such an effect on us. But if you grow the herb in a plant on the ground and you grow the same herb on a tray a meter away from the ground, even though they look the same, but they have totally different properties
Yes.
because
Okay.
they receive different combination, even though it's the same magnetic gravitational system. It's the same thing in your blood, in your body. The lymph carries a spectrum of energies. Lymph is a river which is floating continuously and bringing down the line whatever is in the mountain. The mountain is your digestion system. As it releases, the lymph is just a matter of what it carries. If you look at the color of the lymph, if you look at the color of your blood cells, the more energy is carried, the more information is carried, the brighter the light. That's why lymph is transparent. Doctors don't even understand what lymph is. Lymph is your feeding system. And because it's a feeding system, it carries a lot of energy, carries a lot of information, a spectrum of energies. And as it comes across different part of the body, it releases what they need according to what they need from it. It's like, it's a bus and a car and a bicycle. Part of the body needs a bus, part of the body needs a bicycle. But it's a road, it's a way of transportation. This is what you can, the new papers we are releasing, and it's mostly getting written and written, it's just poor Dirk is putting pictures to a lot of it, is explaining the reality about what we open in the world of energy and space. Now we open in a new door in the world of health. It's not going to be accepted. You think we had a problem with these generators? You call it generators, I call them receivers. You should see what the foundation is going to come under now that these papers are start getting released. We are hoping that this week we release the paper about the paper which is done tonight is going to get last confirmation of it. I hope by today we'll have it, and the webmaster will load it up now that we put our security apparatus for the website. then we will see. Then we will see what you think you have been under attack. My prison sentences will start writing very quickly because it goes in reality against all what pharmaceuticals have been working for. But in a way, if the pharmaceuticals understand what I've written, they jump on it because this is a gold mine they've been waiting for. Yeah, but we'll see. You know, I had so much problem in Belgium with the Belgian government because they wanted just, they were interested in stealing the energy technology. Now, with the opening of the medical, the game has started 100 times worse with us.
Mr. Cash,
It's got, yes.
excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but a lot of people have asked me this question, and I would like to ask them that question on their behalf, okay? And I've already answered the question on your behalf. Sorry, but I since this is gonna be on record where everybody's gonna be able to hear your answer, not my answer, but your answer.
If
And
I
everybody
like,
say,
I'll answer it. If I like,
pardon?
I'll answer. If I
Pardon?
like to answer, if I like to answer it, I'll answer you. Otherwise, they have to listen to your answer. It's good enough.
You're a funny cookie. Okay, okay. A lot of people have been bitching at me. Say, oh, why is Mr. Castro not precise and blah blah blah. So, hey, excuse me, poor Mr. Cash. Okay, he's working like a dog to help us. Okay, it's like I call you the modern Tesla. Okay, he has been threatened in so many ways, and I just know a fraction of your actual life. I said, Mr. Cash has been dealing with a lot of heat and everything. He has neutralized the government with his peace treaty, and now he's sitting down and he's talking to us, and he's trying to educate us, and he has done the most important thing to take care of the government, so the peace on earth, and now he's trying to educate the people of this earth that wants to listen and educate themselves. You know what I'm saying? And I said that he has done the most important thing. And now it's up to you, not up to him. The biggest example has been Malta. It's not Mr. Cash that start telephoning the government of Malta. It's the people of Malta that they telephone the prime minister, and then the prime minister switched you to. I know the entire thing from since I left, and to
You were
Mr.
not supposed to say that. That was
Oh, I'm
confidential.
sorry. Oh well, I'm sorry.
Okay, let me explain this. Now you opened it up. Let me explain this. We, as you
I was not
saw in
told
the
it was confidential. I apologize, Mr.
doesn't
Cash.
matter. Now you open it, we have to put it in the thing. We meet on, I meet on regular basis government officials around the world. A lot of times I disappear for a day or two. I'm too busy. Even Desiree doesn't know. I attend meetings to meet officials from different governments. And now that Lady Dragon has mentioned it, as you saw the World Peace Treaty presentation, the gentleman from Malta out of nowhere appeared with a reactor. We were aware of their work, they were doing things, but he came in with a reactor and he put it in front of us, which gave us the opportunity to show our reactor. In the same process, they've been in touch with the government of Malta, and they made arrangements for me to be in Malta. We met with the ministers. We met with the minister. We handed over the key for the Keshe Foundation technology to the government of Malta, and the pictures they will like to release or not. We need a permission from the government if we can release, show it. That's why on the forum I put that Malta has joined the Keshe Foundation spaceship program, because this weekend, last weekend, I spent time in Malta meeting with the Keshe Foundation Malta people, and they are setting up the new Keshe Foundation as a new structure in Malta. And we were given the opportunity to meet with the minister and hand over the technology through the Keshe Foundation. So the process is We not only support the Keshe Foundation in Malta, they were supposed to host this program this morning, but they realized when I was there, I explained to them what we're looking for, what there is a shortage in their system. So now governments, when I go there, I support governments and what do you call it? The scientists or people who are working. Very soon you will understand one of the world leaders will sign the World Peace Treaty in public. It's not our request, it's their request. One of the most powerful men on this planet have already received and confirmed, and they work and they signed it as an individual, the World Peace Treaty. Now they're trying to sign the World Peace Treaty in the name of their nation, which means they have to stop making of the arms. You understand, one of the world leaders is fighting to stop the manufacture of arms. Why? Why suddenly so much push? A man, when he puts a signature for himself, he puts a signature for his nation. These people, the world leaders, have received the Keshe Foundation World Peace Treaty. Now it's in their hand themselves individually. And when they sign it for themselves, that they have a peaceful act, their what we call their inner being allows them to do the same for their nation. So they are setting the scene up.
Well, Mr. Keshe, I apologize. I did not know it was confidential, but I was saying something positive about this. It was not you that was knocking on the door of the Malta government. It was the people of Malta, which is I'm
Yes,
trying to.
that's what
I'm trying
doing.
to tell people that it's up to us. It's not up to you. That's what I'm trying to say. If you want to have free technology and have all these beautiful things happening to you, you need to get up and go do something about it. You know.
Okay.
That's
You know, the man, let me explain something. The man who handed over the World Peace Treaty to the Pope's office and to the Pope on the day of his inauguration on the 18th of February, April, when the Pope was sworn in, the same day the World Peace Treaty was handed over. There are people within the Keshe Foundation highly influential. If he can reach the office of the Pope on the day of his inauguration as part of there, then you know where our supporters sit. There are people who support us within the highest level within the governments of the nations. Politicians who have signed the World Peace Treaty, they cannot fight. So inside with their own knowledge, with their own strength, they try to put the point across. We don't go and reach the governments. We go and leave it with the people of the nations to reach their governments and show the benefit of it. The same thing with Malta. The people in Malta we met, the people we met in Bulgaria, these are sincere people who work for their nation. They have reached the point of wealth, a lot of them, that the wealth has no more meaning. So they try to bring that wealth of knowledge and comfort for the rest of the people. The people in Bulgaria are one of the best partners Keshe Foundation could ever have. They have work, they are sincere in their work, they have set up a lot of things. You will see huge progress in Bulgaria very soon. The same in Malta, the same in Japan.
Yeah, but the problem is with the West, we are too spoiled brats. You know what I'm saying? The West, they're too used to have everything in the end. No. But it's true, but they have a lot of people that coming out and wants to start with all this, and I think it's very, very positive. Because the people in in Asia and Europe are so gun ho to help you, and now U.S. and Canada are starting to be on board with this, and because they're starting to be educating themselves and your great beautiful work, and we have people in South America. I have people every single day since we did a session number 1. I have over 100 people that wants to know about you. When you were under attack last week, I had 2 gentlemen that want to help you that have never
You see,
heard from you
let
in
me,
your life,
let me
but they want
explain.
to help you out. That's beautiful, Mr.
First
Keshe.
of all, let me explain something. I would like to thank those people who sent us support for website and web situation. We were under attack heavily. These attacks were mounted by well organized. We knew 2 months ahead because we could see track them how they were coming in. Some people wrote me a threatening email. It takes only one thing. You're talking a lot of rubbish. You're trying to bring a huge server down, the way our server is. And if you see at the moment, we are a bit off pressure because people who care came in and brought the systems, invisible system to protect the foundation. We are not 100% proof anymore because there are people who spend a lot of money to jam. And then people who care came in and they put the system for it to be. Now we are past week with the pressure has been taken off. And in so many ways, I would like to see who is trying again because the people who come to help us now through our request for help, they are fairly good in their job. We've seen they blocked it for past week, 10 days. It doesn't mean that the traffic is down, but the people who protect the foundation and the work of the foundation know the ways. I don't get involved in these things. I don't go and fight. Fighting is not our position, but there are people who put a structure around. There are a lot of people who have downloaded the Keshe Foundation and they will parallel it. People in China have done that. People around the world, a lot have downloaded. Now they know it's possibility that we can be jammed. They can go up. Every time they try to hurt us, they brought us more support because people want to protect their own rights.
They give you
What
free
happened?
publicity. Like I said to you, there's 2 people I spoke with. They have never heard of you in their life, but they want to protect you because you're on the internet. So it backfire on them.
Yes,
You know
how
what I'm
they will
saying?
happen. You see, the same situation is with our life. As you know, the Belgian police came to kill me,
Yes.
and I wasn't home. They literally roughed my wife, and they made sure that we understand. They came the day before to assess how they're going to kill me, and they came the day 6 of them, not one, 7, 8 of them. They came to make a situation that you struggle, and then they say in the struggle he got shot. But luckily, I wasn't home. We got the message. We left it Belgium. So, do you know what they did? Now we realize how much we were blocked in Belgium by the Belgians. Since we arrived in Italy, the doors of heaven has opened up for the foundation. And you hear more and more of it. Every time they try to harm us, they allow us to go further. This is the process it is. This is one of the reasons we left overnight, literally. We went on exile. When my wife, as a Belgian, has to leave the country of her birth through the pressure of her government, Western
It's
government, we
awful.
are on
It's
exile.
awful.
We are on
Awful.
exile. We are on exile.
Awful.
So this is created by the people who thought they can silence it. But what they did, it brought us. Now, very soon, we announce the huge leaps in development and new structures and new commercialization methods by different countries, by different places. Japan will come online very soon. This is the first time we're announcing it.
Excellent.
Japan,
Excellent.
Japan will come online. Major South American countries will come online.
Can I
We don't,
say? Can I say name?
no. Even if you say, I say no because it's not my job.
I'm not gonna say. I'm
It's
gonna say.
their job to announce. We have major European nations we're going to line up production and testing and certification.
Okay.
In Middle East, everybody knows our position. So now we don't talk. Now we got into the
Take
phase
action.
Since we come to Italy, we've gone into a different phase. People who write an email and threaten us, we give you 12 months. We gave everything to the governments. They are watching you now. The people who made threat against us, Your child, your wife, your emails, your lines, all now is in the hand of security people. Thank you very much. We go and we don't go hiding. We go opening our technology to more nations because the governments who did not care when they receive these emails, it's done, they start looking into it. They start looking what's this to do with this technology? What can we talk? Can you explain to us? When we start giving, oh, we receive hundreds of these stupid emails from around the world, and we play dumb and deaf. But the health is going through the nations now, through governments, which means we cannot be touched. A government can run any health research as they like. Yeah? So now the health has gone in their hand. The space technology, we try to bring it to public. People play games. Now it's in the hand of governments that are developing it themselves. The same thing will be the agriculture. Agriculture now is going in through the governments, through universities. We blocked a lot of things. We don't talk. What is in the surface, people here, even my secretary is on the line, is one millionth of what's happening around us.
Excuse me, sir. You broke it up. Can you repeat just what you said? You broke up there. Can you just repeat what you just said?
Yeah, everything we do is happening very now, much at the same time, more with the governments than with the people. But we don't let the people undo everything with the governments because people are building their own knowledge and we support it. And by governments knowing people are building it, so they are doing it better themselves to be ahead of it. This is what the creation of new process has come in, and is helping us very much because the governments know, like with putting the reactor of the Poland on the server on the YouTube, it gave us a huge lead because suddenly governments realize that individuals are making these in their garages and their home.
So they are scared now. So they are better getting bored or what?
No,
you know what I'm saying?
no, the governments are not scared. This is the word of which should not be used. The government realized that there is another alternative. We got to look into it. We got to look into it. We got to do it. This is opened up. This is very much like the scientists are developing the latest versions of telephone and communication and computers, and the government spend money to be ahead of them, how to stop their abuse or stop them to do things which they don't like. So this too has become, the foundation work has become a competition between the public and the government. And the government up to now ignored it because we were in Belgium, we were blocked. Then the people are doing it because they're trying to get what they think is the way they want to do it. I was in a meeting a couple of days ago, and a guy comes in and says, "Oh, we are from a Tesla group." I said, "If Tesla system was working and somebody could replicate it for 100 years, why are we here for?" You understand?
But why would somebody has something? Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're Tesla or from the Marsh. If they have something working, why they come to you? Because they don't have something working, right?
Yeah. No, this is a question. Tesla has developed so many things, and
yes.
so we take the goods. He was a fantastic.
Yeah, but anybody can say they're from Tesla. You know what I'm saying, Mr.
But
Keshe?
we haven't seen a work in Tesla. Military has done it. The military work part of the Tesla system, but not the full. In the hand of public, there is no application of Tesla in the way he used for energy transfer.
Speaking of Tesla, I have a special question from my friend Lexi in Arizona in the United States. The chemtrail that they're doing, what is your take on this?
Guys, sorry to be ignorant, but can we go back to the teaching thing? That's just wasting time. And Mr. Keshe's time is valuable and we really can learn something. So can we stop with these things and start to talk about the systems again?
I think, Ludmil, you have to learn everything. This is a live animal. You have to understand even how we could be in Bulgaria. and how we can support things. The foundation is not just one line; it has different aspects, and I think public have to know everything.
Yeah, I understand that, and I can fight for that as much as I can, but doesn't mean I'm gonna go to my
So
prime
you ask
minister
me
and
what you
change.
like to know. Ask me what you like to know.
Okay, so going back to the oxygen thing, is it any number which is like expressing the magraphs in the oxygen or something? And
What do you mean
is
by
it,
number?
well, let's say strawberries are creating one kind of oxygen, the apples are creating another one, and they are different by magrav strand, right? And is it any number which is expressing this the difference? And is it any like a table
Number
which
in
is
what? Number in what?
in magrav strand,
Uh, the
or
number you're looking
something
for,
else which is
you are
gonna
looking for.
express the difference?
Uh, First of all, we don't have the systems for it yet that you can put numbers to it. But yes, there is a strength measuring of magnetic and gravitational field. And then you can call it any color you like, any new material you like, or anything element you like. You can have magnetic gravitational field of oxygen between copper and zinc. So you don't need to have the Earth atmosphere to have the oxygen. You can have magnetic field of oxygen package between uranium and plutonium, because the system has to go through a decay. This decay is reduction in the size of the package, and when you go reduction in the size of package, you have to release it somewhere in some measures. This is what I said, stop sticking to material. You can create, you can create hydrogen, you can create plasma, actually much easier and much stronger with heavy materials, much heavier material in plutonium and above than you can do in to create ionization with the hydrogen. Because at the level of the high materials, the heavy materials, radiation is a normal environment. So ionization is a natural process. This is what I tell you, I have to speak in the language of a child to understand. A nuclear physicist who is expert in his work understands very easily, why should I go use a hammer when I can do it with a little wind opening the same thing? You, as normal basic science, you talk about the hydrogen and ionizing the hydrogen and then opening a plasma. Nuclear physicists who understand the process, it's easier to work with plutonium, uranium, and above, because in that environment, the radiation is always available. And that environment, plasma is part of the normal process. But we've been made to say nuclear materials are dangerous, nobody can do. In fact, in your reactors, when you start playing with plasma, you create as much plutonium as you like. This is the stupidity of the governments who never understood how it worked. I don't need to have radiation. That's why we keep on talking about the new non-nuclear. You cannot divide, you cannot open a plasma. But now these reactors, to them physically can't see a nuclear material, so it's not nuclear. So it's the terminology, but it doesn't change the fact you cannot have a division, you cannot have a plasma without creating a condition that it allows ionization. How do you get ionization? Can you do it by pulling the electron on its own? No. You create a massive field, which is gravitational magnetic field. You call it radiation, I call it non-nuclear interference, and then we play the game. You are happy and I receive what I like.
Hello, Mr.
Go,
Keshe. Can I ask you a question? You say you
yes.
can make a magnetic tube. Is it like
What do you mean
if
by
we
magnetic field? Hello, explain
hello.
yourself. What do you
Okay,
mean by
I'll
magnetic
try
field?
to explain this. I asked Desiree the same question. Can we make with a copper tube or a copper thread or a nail? Can we make with the coating of sp2 and sp3 a magnetic field that can create the ionization of the gases?
Depends on what you use.
Okay, but
Depends
just
on you. Some cases you can do, but in so many cases, the material you use creates the obstacle to achieve it.
okay. This so the
Uh,
point is the coating with the cola bottle is something from the potassium level.
you can create the coating with anything. I used to use for different things nuclear material for it. This is, you look at, as I said, this knowledge is open according to your understanding.
Yeah.
You can create, actually, one of the best thing you can use is your own skin to create a reactor. Do you understand?
A bit. I understand my own skin is yeah, like a plasma.
Uh,
But
uh,
how
uh,
can I put it on a copper thread or an
yeah,
iron thread
but
or
it
something?
depends on the condition you create. Um, the the nanomaterials have a specific structure. Nanomaterials, especially SP2, especially SP3, if you use SP3 in a specific condition, which is unknown at the moment, this is one of the reasons IMEC, the Nano Center in Belgium, blocked us, because we produce SP3 at room temperature, which is unknown. The SP3s in a certain layer structure, if you can produce it, they are one of the most beautiful, powerful lensing systems in the universe. The future of the communication in deep space for instantaneous communication lives and relies on SP structure, but in a gas dimension. This is very, very important, because when you have a SP3 in a material dimension, you have a physicality of matter restriction. When you have a SP3 in a gas dimension, simple way, gases fill in the environment they are given.
Is
When
sp3 in the cola bottle?
certain amount of it, yes, as a gas. Do you know what it is? Let me explain to you. You as a human being, us as a human being, are the best carrier of the SP3, but we don't know it. We've never been told.
No, my brain doesn't allow that.
Okay, now let's move the position of the brain. You understand it instantaneously. When your digestion system works, yeah,
Yeah.
and you make gases, you burp it up or you allow it to go through the back passage. If it's in the shape of, or it's in the structure of sp2 or a gas, has nothing. To you, it's just a sound. If the structure of your in the digestion system, your stomach or your bigger intestine, has changed, what does it become? Its same gas changes into sp3, changes into a structure of the what do you call diamond crystal,
Yeah.
and it becomes odor. If, and the only thing is, I was explaining this recently to somebody, he nearly laughed his head off. I said the smell is not for people to bother. The smell is for your body to register the food you ate, what is done in your stomach, that next time you don't eat the wrong food. It's a communication between your digestion system and your brain to watch out. Next time you eat, you see such a thing is not good.
I
So
totally agree with
if
that. I think that's great. That's a
so
really great statement there.
so what it is, if it's so simple for your body to create a sp3, why it should be so hard for the man to do it? Understand the structure, understand the process, how, then you can do it. These are the future sp3 in a gas state. In a gas state, even you have a sp3 in a gas, sp3 in gas and the gas state are the future of the non-time lapsing communication line. Doesn't matter you're on Mars, doesn't matter you're on Jupiter in the next galaxy. If you understand the structure of the sp3 as a gas, because the gases always link and they take the environment, this is called instantaneous communication, no time delay. You don't need to wait to send a message to Mars and wait 20 minutes to a machine to receive it and send it back to you in 20 minutes. You link the magnetic fields together. This is the process of communication. This is the process. The sp3 is not for material. The sp3 is for communication. Instantaneous communication. These are the things you have to look. Don't, once you look at material, then you're bound to earth, to physicality.
Okay, and what do you use to or what I call generate electricity? Is it sp2 or sp3?
You don't need sp2 or sp3 to generate electricity. Look at the motion. Static solid does not create. And
Okay,
if you are waiting to putting a net in the sea, hoping you catch a fish, and then you say it creates energy because you caught a fish, then you're in the wrong game. This is what I explained recently. I just said it a few minutes ago in the talk of this morning. In a plasma, there is no AC. That's where Tesla went wrong.
no, I know.
So in plasma, everything is DC. There is no pulse in the reactor, in the plasma. If you hear a pulse from the earth or if you hear a pulse from the sun, it's because of the material which they've created. It's not the work of the plasma. Plasma is continuous. So if you make a matter field and you're hoping to create a, what do you call it, to absorb energy, the only thing you put your machines on a DC. When you're measuring electricity, always work on DC, not on AC.
Yeah, I know, but like I said, can we code a thread that it's like an antenna to catch the
This has
energy
been
of?
done. This has been done. This has been done. This is nothing new, but you can't catch that much.
Okay, like in a Coca bottle,
Yes,
milliamps.
this has been done. This is nothing nothing important. Now the next step is how to open the plasma. If you open the plasma, you have enough energy. The guy written to me, you talk a lot of nonsense if there was one electron having so much energy in the matchbox, you're talking blah, blah. Let me explain to the audience who are ignorant. If a plasma of a proton, of let's say hydrogen, has been here for millions of years, and it's tangible because it become part of us in different forms, part of another life, and it's going to be here another for 4 or 5 million or billion years, there must be enough energy in that single proton that it's allowed it to open it up to last all this time. The ones who think a proton has no energy and talking a lot of nonsense is because they are exactly the guys who said the Earth is the center of the universe, because they cannot expand the dimension of their understanding. This is the easy way to be. So you do not need to look for physical dimension. I always explain this. Have you ever measured the speed of magnetic field coming from the north pole of a magnet?
No, I would have to ask a pigeon.
Maybe you have to ask a pigeon. But if you can measure that, then that the speed of magnetic field is in the material state. Even that is in a material magnetic field strength. This is one of the reasons I gave a talk, and somebody asked on the forum, and it's in the new book which is coming out, that why the North Pole is warmer than the South Pole in even on the sun. I explained in a very simple way that the magnetic field flow, when it goes through from the entry point, what you call the South Point, through the material, and it comes out of the North Pole, which is in a way exit condition, going through the body of the sun or going through the body of the earth, these fields, because of their magnetic gravitational field, is not just magnetic, it's magnetic gravitational field. They absorb all the residual magnetic field which has been released meanwhile by the decay of other elements. So when you're going through somewhere and when you go, let's say, through a rain tunnel or in a rainy condition, when you are there, you are dry. You go through the rain. When you come out of the rain, you have absorbed some raindrops. You're not weighed the same because you still carry some of the moisture with you. Yeah? So
Yeah.
when the field comes out, you carry more with you. You have more mass. So the field is stronger when it comes out because he absorbs some material internally, some more magnetic gravitational field from decay of the matter inside. So when it comes out of the North Pole, they are stronger. So when you have a stronger magnetic field interacting with the environment, you get a strength, the higher friction, higher temperature. So for the first time, we explained why North Poles are warmer than the South Pole. Because by the time they reach South Pole, they are weaker than they went in.
The magnetic gravitational field then is being released at the same point at the same time then with the same direction. Is that correct?
Depends, in what way, in what
Take the Earth, for example, in the North Pole, and you have the exit, as you say, the exit pole.
Yeah, the North Pole, where the exit of the magnetic fields are,
they contain the magnetic field and the gravitational field?
Yes, of course, because of course it's both. What do you call it? The magnetic field which entered the Earth from the South Pole, they go to the center of the Earth to come up. Yeah?
Okay.
As they go through the center, in the center we have all sorts of materials. This Earth is a few thousand kilometers. By the time a magnetic gravitational field goes through, it absorbs some of the decay of the materials inside the Earth. So when it comes out, it has more of. And then when you're strong, when you go faster, when you hit the block, you create more friction. So they create more temperature on the North Pole. There's a big difference between the North Pole and the South Pole. That's why the South Pole is cooler and we have different ice conditions than the North Pole. As you know, our good friend Mr. Al Gore said, one of the problems with the the climate, the heating up and the climate condition is that there is a shortage and all the penguins are disappearing
What
because the
about the
bears
other
are
Earth,
eating
Mr.
them.
Keshe?
Pardon?
What about the other Earth, Mr. Keshe?
About what?
The hollow Earth.
Hollow Earth. Let me explain the point you jumped in. Mr. Al Gore, in the talk, as you know, said that because of the warming climate warming, pardon?
I'm not talking
He,
about. No. I'm not talking about
yeah,
him. I'm
yeah.
talking.
Let me finish what I was saying. So he said that because of the climate warming, because of all these pollutions or CO2, the penguins are disappearing because the
Bullshit.
polar bears are
Bullshit.
eating them. Yeah, but
Bullshit.
somebody said in the audience, no. Somebody said in the audience, excuse me, polar bears are in the North Pole and penguins are in the South Pole. They never come about it.
I thought you it was bullshit.
This is the whole dimension into a new politics. But that's why we have different creation of the ice in different poles. Is due
Yeah,
to
but
the
it's
field.
yeah the hollow heart. I mean, that means that there's hollow. Maybe I'm because I'm French Canadian. I'm not pronouncing what I'm trying to tell you. The hollow, which is
Yeah,
HOLLOW.
the hollow earth depends
Yes.
what you call hollow. Depends
Oh,
what you
I
call
mean,
hollow.
I'm gonna say in these two ways. First of all, there's a sun inside of the earth, and we have this opening from top to bottom. This is why we have the aurora, beautiful on the top, and this is why we have the Voskov lake. It's warm, like 80 degrees in Antarctica.
First of all, if you read the paper which is called The Seed of the Earth, I explain that the center of the Earth or any entity, planetary entity, has, or even a star, has plasma. So if you call a plasma hollow, maybe, but in reality, Earth has a combination material. That's why we can hold on to so much variety of matters on this planet. You got to understand a fundamental point in creation. This is what I keep on repeating and people keep on missing. Is the creation of the condition which leads to the creation of matter. Earth, because it carries a combination core of different elements, plasma of different elements, of plasma of different strength, has allowed it to create magnetic gravitational fields of the matters which are attracted to it and are part of the planet. If the center core could not create gravitational magnetic field of plutonium, we could have never had plutonium on this planet. This is why we see certain materials in different planets but not in the others, because their center creation of gravitational magnetic field is mono, like the stars. The stars are monomaterial. That's why they hold on to hydrogen only. When you have a sealed container like Earth, physical matter, the inner container, due to nuclear decay, creates a composite magnetic gravitational field. So the Earth absorbs hydrogen, nitrogen, a spectrum of. When you create a single field strength magnetic gravitation, then you become mono, you become a star. And there's a very big, it's in the book coming out, the structure of the solar system. There's a huge misconception that the center of the sun is hundreds of billions of degrees and the temperature of the surface is tens of thousands. This is all rubbish, because the only heat which we see on the surface of the sun or any star, and the strength of it is the strength of the gravitational magnetic field of the center. When it reaches the gravitational magnetic field of the top layer, their interaction decides the heat. Because
you know what, Mr. Keshe,
plasmas
I don't mean to
start
interrupt
defining.
you, but I want to tell you something. I think you touched up on something that everybody is asking me, and it has been a very big. There's two lies, okay? We women in the school, we've been taught that no one, nothing can come close to the sun, because the sun is at millions of heat, okay? And then we see all the time on the internet all these craft around the sun. So
Let me explain. There is as much life in the sun that is on Earth. It's the
yeah.
adoption to the environment. It's the same thing as they said, nothing can live at a high temperature in the deep oceans. Now we're drilling holes in the deepest earth part in the oil, we find life.
I'm glad you say that, because I said to myself and people, I said that either the sun is not millions of heat, or they have people that knows how to develop material that can withstand that heat.
Yeah,
And
you see, you go, Mr. Dragon, you go back into the material again. If you work
because
within
I've been
the
brainwashed.
fields,
I've been
if
brainwashed.
you work within the fields, depends which part of the spectrum of the fields you choose. If you choose higher strength than the environment becomes matter. So if you can measure magnetic gravitational field of the Earth, you decide where the matter is going to be.
So that's
If you
we'll be lying from day one. The sun is not a million.
No, it's not lying. This is the progress of knowledge. This is what we understood up to now.
I have a question, Mr. Keshe, about the sun.
Yes.
I did the practice of sun gazing, as in the yogis in India. I came up to gradually up to staring at the sun for 44 minutes at once. And it definitely did something to my brain structure. I don't know how to explain it, but it operates differently now.
I don't know that. I've never done it. I can't tell you.
Okay, but
this is important to understand. With the new technology, because you can create gravitational magnetic field on the outer layers of your craft magnetic fields, you can cross and you can go into the deep oceans like the sun. The center, we can never at this time, at this moment, have the knowledge to create a magnetic gravitational field strength which is at the top end of the spectrum of principal matter. So whatever is underneath that is a matter in its environment. The hydrogen never converts into helium, what they call fusion. This fusion business is all hullabaloo. This is like exactly what they were looking for. What do you call it? What was it? CERN was looking last year, and they made a lot of noise about it. God particles. Yeah, you become a God particle anywhere in the universe as long as your magnetic field, gravitational field strength is weaker than its point of environment. It's very much you drop a gas, you create a condition, it becomes solid, and you say, oh, it became a God particle. So if you are a lawyer and you can create a condition that the environmental gravitational magnetic field is lower by a factor, not by percentage. The game of magnetic plasma gravitational field is factor point, not percentage. In
Okay,
your
what about this
reactor,
guy?
let me
What about this
stop,
guy?
stop. I think Mr. Kramen and Ludmil will understand this very clearly. In your reactor, if you have a central column, if you look at our reactor, which is usually seen on Keshe Foundation with different brass rings on it, which is in the center of the, we put the core around it, you've seen it. As let's say your reactor is 10 centimeter in diameter. Yeah. If you take the center at 0, and as you go out, you go to 10 centimeter, which is the outer boundary. When you take energy at 9 centimeter, let's say you have 1 kilowatt. When you take energy at 8 centimeter, is 90. When you go into 7, is 900. When you go to further in, it becomes 9,000, a million, and 4. So when we say these generators can give you any power you like from millivolts to megawatt, it's depending on how close you go to the center of the release of energy. This is another thing you have to watch. If you are measuring or you're looking for a high power rapid, you go to the center of the core. But by a factor, you have a millimeter can make a difference by a factor of 1,000. You understand?
Yes, that makes sense.
I'm trying to
This is the
understand.
way. This is the way the plasma of the sun in the solar system. As you come closer, is not by that, is by the factor how close you get to the center. This then the same reactor can give you, you can tap in on the outer boundary for a few millivolts with the CB, and in the same reactor you tap into the center through a different core, and you receive a kilowatt. That's why our reactors are so small, because we don't work by what we release, we work by the positioning of the plasma itself.
What is the extraction method then regarding extraction of that energy that you're talking about?
Why do you want to extract?
That's a good question.
This is the problem. Create a condition in what you want. Why do you want to extract?
That's a good question.
This is
So
what we're talking. This, let me explain to you something very simple. This is what we don't say a lot of things, but we open things in words people to understand. We are going into the commercialization section very rapidly. Yeah? And one of the problems which the people who sign contract with us now, they want to go into commercializing, they start seeing it. They have signed an agreement, let's say, to produce a 3 kilowatt generator, they call it, what I call a receiver. Yeah? And in the process, they start seeing what I explained, the bright light in the sky. Because the magnetic field in test goes beyond the boundary of the reactor, they start seeing lights. Oh, but what about this? I said, yes, the same system now is a light bulb. What strength would your light bulb to have? 3 watt or 3,000 watt? You do not need to extract.
it creates an atmosphere, in other words.
It creates its own gravitational magnetic field in respect to the Earth gravitational magnetic field. So you increase the boundary beyond further, much stronger release internally. The same thing suddenly becomes a 3,000, 10,000, 100,000 kilowatt light bulb. You have the sun. There'll never be shortage of energy. You don't need cables to transmit energy. You don't need to extract. In the new system, this is what I've discussed with one of the, I think Japanese will come out with this much faster because I understand their mentality. Maybe Americans might do it as well, is that you will create a spectrum of system, the same system for different jobs. This is what people didn't understand when we talked about the Oasis system. In Oasis system, we have to show a tap, a cooker, and whatever. But the same system, while you're not using it for energy, works for your extraction of the, what do you call it, oxygen and hydrogen and creation of water. And with the same thing, if you can adjust your reactor in the process, you put a button because you don't need to understand. It allows you to release certain amount of energy, which is equal to protein and calcium and all the minerals and the things you need for your daily use. So your water becomes the source of your, what do you call it, your food. We have to adopt our pictures and our teaching according to the time and the way people understand. If you would have told in the time of Christ that the man will go on the moon, they will kill you. But now to us it's very normal because our intelligence goes any further. So now we can open things in a much easier but faster because the communication and people understand much easier. Your system in a space, as I spoke earlier on this session, you position your reactor with the third reactor to produce water, with the second reactor to produce gold. This is what I said in one of my talks. How much more gold do you want us to put in the Central Bank of Libya for you to come and rob tomorrow morning? Because gold has no more value. Even the governments, like United States, don't issue their papers against gold because gold has no value. Now is a matter of trust and what we accept to facilitate. So if gold has no value to print the greenback on it, so it should have no value anywhere else in the universe. Gold has no value beyond the boundaries of this planet. It's only important to man because it was the first material he could form and melt and make something. So it became precious to him. So what would you like? Would you like cheesecake or would you like plutonium? You can make it with your reactor.
So the sister reactors then would they become with the principle of the twinity?
Exactly, you got the message.
Thank you.
Earth is a twinity in the factor of the magnetic gravitational field of the matter of the Earth. Saturn is on the upper layer, is the twinity with Sun for gravitational magnetic field of the materials, which are coming back from the outer boundary of the solar system. In the new book, The Structure of the Solar System, I explain exactly as we have the rainfall, planets are drops of rain which get back to the Earth, back into the Sun. Earth is definitely going through the shaking motion of the reversal of position, direction. And this is normal because as the steam goes up, the vapor goes up, it cools on the upper atmosphere because it's too far, it's cooler. It becomes cloud and then rains back down due to the heavy gravitational magnetic field of the Earth. Rain doesn't drop because it drops, because its gravitational magnetic field cannot hold on. It's much stronger by the center. The same thing happens. Gravitational magnetic field of the sun release, go to the outer boundary or somewhere in between. As they cool down, they become different kind of a different part of the planet. There is no or not much cosmic dust. Everything in our solar system is 99%, 95% what I call solar dust, because it's created from the slowing down of the gravitational magnetism of the sun. As they solidify, they become planet, and in time, like a raindrop, they join back the mother. So in time, Venus will be absorbed, Earth will take its position, and in time, Earth will be absorbed by the sun. There is no difference in the process of creation. Even though we would like that the Earth will be here forever, We are part of the raindrop in a different process of dropping in.
In that same time, then, if Venus is absorbed at Mercury first, would that not change the magnetic gravitational field, which could cause Earth to go out of position at some point?
We always go out of this. Every time one gets absorbed, the other one to adjust. But the adjustment is not that much. The adjustment is not that much. It's very gradual. It's very slow. But everybody else adjusts to it because now, when you look at the Saturn and Jupiter on the far end, a new planet is getting created to absorb. You know, if you want to understand the position of the like Saturn with a big gaseous planet, these are like what I call what do you call it? Hailstones. They absorb more and more, and they suddenly become a big ball. The gaseous planets are like a hailstones. They absorb a lot of gases which are on the way coming back from the cooling from the edge of the solar system.
So they protect
And
us from a mass of particles, basically, or a massive mass.
no, it's just a cooling system. And as they come closer, as the planet come closer, the heat of the sun melts them up, or melts them, or the not as evaporate. It opens up and it goes back to the further. But in time, most of the gravitational magnetic field of the sun, which is more or less 90% of the whole solar system, will absorb entities like Earth, like God knows, like a pin drop. Our gravitational field compared to the center of the sun is literally negligible. But on the other hand, we have to, everything finds its position. This is exactly how your body works. Your body finds a position, then you have a bone, or you have a muscle, or you have a heart tissue, and the same material becomes a brain structure.
Now that you mentioned finding position, that was my cue to show a little experiment here briefly that I think you'll like. What I've got is, you can see on the video here, let me bring it a little bit closer, just so I can just bring it down a little bit anyways there. And what you can see is I've got here a special set of magnets embedded in a plastic disc, right? You can, there, you can see it there. And normally if this is in repelling mode, magnets push each other. That's a normal thing that we can see. But there's no pulling, of course. It's always in a pushing mode when they're in repel mode. Okay, so if I flip this magnet over, you would expect these magnets to be pulled together in attract mode. But here's something special that we can show. And wait a minute here, I get it properly orientated. I can set them down there. Are we in the picture? Yeah. Okay, so I can push. I have an uneven magnet here. I can push, and I can also pull with this magnet. I can push, and I can pull. You can see there's a gap there in between. There's a, it's able to lock on like a mag, I call it, it's like a mag grav field basically. And it's able to.
Exactly how you show gravitational magnetic field. This is, if you've been to my lectures, I put a ring in the middle and I put 3 magnet ring around it. And when you push one, the other one pushes and they start moving.
In this case, though, the magnets don't touch. They're actually, there's a gap in between.
See, you have, yeah, you see, you have 2, 4, 6, 8 magnets around the center of the magnet. So where your magnet sits now, you have a copy magnet in the center, correct?
You have a what magnet? It's a.
You have a magnet in the center.
Yeah, there's a large neodymium in the center,
yeah.
and we'll say it's north up.
Then you see And then, is it the matching one with the one outside which you're playing with?
No, it's actually a different size, but I do have.
Okay. Now, you see those small ones you put in? For those to be in the position they are, they have to, independent of, if you pull the magnet away, separate the magnet, please. Yeah, just keep the plastic. If you look at the plastic magnet, yeah, you have those 8 magnets. For those magnets to be in that position, one is entry, one is exit. One is exit, one is entry. So they find the balance.
That's right. This is like north up, and these would be north down to compensate to give those two fields.
So one is north, one is south. If you allow it to be, if you haven't forced the position, I show this in my presentations. If you haven't forced it, so all those magnets find their position in respect to each other. Now, when you put it on the table in respect to this individual single magnet, that magnet has to find magnetic gravitational field against the entry of the one on the right and entry and exit against the one on the left. And where the balance is, it comes close. When one is more stronger, it goes away. You understand? So you have created a magnetic field, gravitational field, which is in respect of to an entity on its own. If you have you got 2 of these sets?
The other one I have is not the same orientation. That's got 10 magnets around. I tried that and it didn't work quite as well.
See how it plays. Put the other magnets out of the way because that's enforcing. Yeah. Now you see gravitational magnetic field very nice. Put a finger on the top of each so they don't run away, or put finger on one. No, just put finger on one of them and rotate the other one.
Okay, I'm just seeing if you can see it okay here.
You rotate. You see it? Yeah?
It doesn't, it starts to rotate a little bit, but it's not really engaged like a magnetic gear in this case.
Well, it's not a magnetic gear. This is gravitational magnetic positioning.
Right, and with this, what's the other setup here? It has to be flipped over, so I'll just do that way.
Okay. Oh, do something very.
It's able to engage it and bring it around and so on.
Yeah, but draw a line and put the 2 magnets together, and you see the gap which creates. And then you find out the gap is different because 10 magnets are different than the 8. Yeah? The gap is totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah? So it will be the same about the individual. You are creating a condition. You're creating an environment. This is what is exactly what happens in the body of the man or in the solar system.
So that's to say there's a positive and a negative. I'm just going to use those terms. Magnetic field in place.
No. Change the words. Entry and exit.
There's an entry and exit magnetic field at the same time in the same place.
Yes. This is what happens. This is the principle of twinity, which science never understood.
We need
the twinity. You see, the solid magnet has to share its magnetic field, which is if it's the north side, the exit part, with all of those 8 magnetic gravitational, 4 entry and 4 exits.
Yeah.
And when it finds the balance, then it's his position. If you use the 10, then he has to share it with 10. So it comes closer because the division is higher. Yeah?
Yeah.
This is even if you keep the 8 combination, and now just keep a study, mark the single magnet and just turn the single magnet around, you find the distance will be different as well, because If it is the north, or what I call the exit, facing up, it will have a bigger gap than if it's a south, which is the entry, which is weaker.
To flip the magnet. Okay, we could try that by flipping
okay,
both.
if you can keep and mark it, you find no, turn one, not both. When you turn both, the both go back to the original condition. Just turn one of them.
Well, if I turn one of them, it'll repel quite strongly.
Yeah, see? You see what I'm talking about? Now you're dealing with the exit. Now that's the North Pole. Now keep it down. No, don't change. Leave that on the table the way it is. Now change the other magnet. Look at the gap. No, wait. Now, okay. No. Put it down. Oh, no. The way you were before. Put that away. Put these two magnets totally away. The other ones on the side because they interfere. Okay, bring it in the, oh, it's gone. Yeah, catch it back. Catch it back. Okay, put this down and see the gap. Now, leave that there. Leave the plastic. Don't touch. Where the gap, where the motion stops, you stop with the big one. Okay?
Right there,
now,
say.
okay. Now turn the single magnet around. The single magnet. Yeah. Turn it in the same position. Now try the magnet. See the gap. You see? So this is the north, this is the south pole. The south pole is up. Now south pole interacts with the 8. South pole is weaker. So the gap closes.
Well, no, that's, see, Mr. Keshe, you have to realize that in this disc, this is north up in the big magnet.
That doesn't matter.
All the other magnets are
we are not changing the environment of the plastic magnet. We are changing the strength. Okay, leave it there. Don't touch. Now change the single magnet. Just in the same position, but the polarity of it. Bring it back. Yes? Okay? And see the gap?
There and the tracks here.
Yeah. But the repulsion distance is further.
Yes.
So this shows that's your exit magnet, which is coming up. Because the south, or what we call entry, is on the table, the material of the table absorbs more of the fields, so the strength on the top is exit is much higher. So you find a bigger gap. This is how planetary system works. This is how a cell works. You create on the condition, that's why I say in the plasma, when you create gravitational magnetic field, the same plasma depends what plasma is turning. A single plasma in a reactor does not give you a good gravitational magnetic field system. When you have a mixture of them. You see, now you see the change.
Okay, everybody. Mr. Keshe has been here for over 2 hours and 19 minutes. I'm sure Mr. Keshe has another meeting to do today. If he wants to stay, he can stay, but he has to go. It's up to you, Mr. Keshe.
No problem. Is there any other questions?
Yes, Mr. Keshe. Hello. I would have a very practical question. There are about 150 people who pre-ordered your reactor, and when do you think these people will receive their reactors?
The reactor has been and is literally on the test table now. We have to change from nuclear to non-nuclear. And I think another 3-4 weeks we'll go on the testing bench because there are some corrections we have to make even with the last one. Yes. So I was talking to the manufacturers even yesterday to correct or to solve some of the problems which we're sitting in the setup. I think in the next 4 weeks we should be going into the test mode, and about 3-4 weeks later we should be able to show, I hope, the first videos. And then the mass production is a matter of weeks, days, because we have the system in hand.
Okay. So that
we have one of the biggest problem we have now is making sure these reactors do not cause any environmental hazards.
I see.
The environmental, you want a generator. Now we've gone to a non-nuclear, what I call. We have to understand the potentials of what it can do and what it creates. Because now that we spoke about the receiver, not a generator, we should see in a way that what you call the Wi-Fi, but Wi-Fi power generators directly from your system in the house. And if this happens, we don't want to come into the same position as these systems are dangerous. We're like radio frequencies from mobile.
I see.
This is what we are facing with. We have to solve this problem. We have one of the very few machines in the world which can measure this kind of environmental radiation. I paid a lot of money for it to be manufactured for us. So we measure the field magnetic gravitational three-dimensional. So let us do the job properly, that next time we don't get a problem the minute we come out. These are worse than the, what do you call it, mobile phones for radiation.
Okay, I see. So that means beginning of August, or
We don't know. We don't put a time. I was testing the reactor yesterday.
I see. Okay.
Okay, whatever it's
And
gonna
I
be,
could
it's gonna be
not,
on my website. Don't worry. And it's on
yeah,
Mr. Keshe
I
forum.
could,
Don't worry.
hello. I could not see, I was expecting an outcome from the condition I was creating, and I was not getting what I was looking for. So I decided to open the system partially to see why. And it came to, I just realized that some of the technicians have decided to put a material in there which was not supposed to be. So as I told you a couple of minutes before, I was talking to the manufacturers yesterday. The reason was this, that we specifically put this material to be there, and now you removed it. Why? We're not getting what we were expecting. So now the manufacturers are looking into this, the setup, what they've done wrong. So these are part of the prototyping and making things sure is correct. So we got to find out how this guy, the engineer, came up with his own concept and manufactured a piece which is not supposed to be there. Or we have to find a way around it. These are part of testing.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Everybody say good night to Mr. Keshe. It's been 2 hours and 24 minutes. So everybody say
No
good
problem.
night to Mr. Keshe, please.
Good
Good night,
morning
Mr.
to you. Good
Keshe.
night to you. We're going for breakfast and you're going for dinner. Have a nice time.
Thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Thank
All right. Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
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 Thanks. Okay.